The job of an accounts payable specialist is ideal for someone who is detail-oriented. While it is more complicated than it might seem at first glance, it is not difficult if you follow instructions. It is the way many professionals start their accounting career and provides a good foundation for understanding how an organization operates and manages its finances. An accounts payable specialist is sometimes referred to as an invoice processor, an accounts payable associate, or occasionally an accounts payable clerk. In the UK, the term purchase ledger is sometimes used in place of accounts payable. Very simply put, the accounts payable specialist is responsible for paying the organization's bills. In the business world, these bills are referred to as invoices. The invoices are processed following the procedures set out by the manager. These should be quite detailed to ensure everyone handles invoices in the same manner so no duplicate payments are made. And it is easy to identify duplicate invoices. When the invoices are received, the specialist sends them out for approval. They do this by referring to the purchase order number or other information on the invoice. This is just the first step, as approvers rarely check to see if the invoice is correct. They are just verifying that the goods were ordered or the services were ordered that are on the invoice. And by the way, I think they should be checking the price, etc., but no one really cares what I think, and most will not do so. So, it falls on the shoulders of the accounts payable specialist or invoice processor to do that. How do they verify the invoice is correct? By performing the three-way match, matching the invoice against the purchase order and the receiving documents. I'll have a link at the end that explains the three-way match in more detail. Once the invoice is deemed accurate, then the accounts payable specialist schedules it for payment according to the previously agreed payment terms. These should be stored in the master vendor file. Now, before we get to what to do if the invoice doesn't match, and it frequently doesn't, if you work in, manage, or have responsibility for the accounts payable and/or payment function and want to make sure you always have the most current, best practice, fraud prevention and fraud protection, job search, and technology business intelligence related to your job, please hit the subscribe button. If you also hit the bell button, you'll be notified as soon as we publish new content for this channel, which we do several times a week. Back to the invoice. If the invoice does not match one of the other documents mentioned, then it is up to the accounts payable specialist to resolve this discrepancy. This means working with both purchasing and the supplier who sent the invoice. When the discrepant invoice is resolved, it is then scheduled for payment. The invoice processor or accounts payable associate is also often responsible for responding to vendor inquiries. This may be about a payment already made, or the supplier may be calling to find out when payment will be made. Occasionally, companies will have someone whose only responsibility is to respond to these calls, but that does not happen all the time. Often, it falls on the shoulders of the accounts payable specialist. Obviously, it is critical that the correct amount is paid. You don't want to pay more than the company actually owes. That's why we make such a big deal about the three-way match. We recently did several short videos explaining the three-way match in detail. You can watch them right now using the link that has appeared on your YouTube screen and is in the description.